Alrighty, and we will give everybody a minute to get on here.
Did you have it pulled up on there?
Give everybody a second. Yeah. Alrighty, hi guys. 10 Investigate Jennifer Titus here. And I am here at the Better Business Bureau West Florida with Brian Oglesby. And we're basically going to talk everything hurricane that you need to know when it comes to pretty much protecting your pocketbook, when it comes to hiring contractors, donating money to charity, everything we see. I mean, you guys get calls like crazy when anytime a storm is about to hit.
Yeah, avoiding, storm chasers, we call them, which are scammy contractors, the unlicensed contractors that come in out of town, knocking on your doors, taking money up front, and not coming back to finish the job. We also see a lot of complaints, even with legitimate licensed contractors, that take on too much work when a storm passes through, and they're not finishing the jobs. They're not completing them. Supplies are limited. So just being a savvy consumer, doing that homework research, asking the right questions, and finding the legitimate licensed contractors that you can trust and do the job right.
Is that the number one thing you guys see would be the contractors? And do you see them now or do you see them after the storm?
Well, we see both. So when it comes to scammy, unlicensed contractors, we see that right after the storm immediately, or even right before, coming knocking on your door to trim your trees, etc. So in the moment and right after, you have to watch out for those scammy storm chasers, the unlicensed contractors. And their intent is usually to take your money and run and not even finish the job. Yeah. But then when you find a licensed, maybe legitimate contractor, you also have to do some homework as well, because you want to find the right guy that's going to finish the job. And sometimes their intent is not to not finish the job, but they get so overwhelmed by the workload, they cannot get a hold of the supplies. And then you're left months later, even years later, we're still getting complaints from Michael and Irma of people who hired a contractor and the job has not been finished. So just doing your homework and due diligence to make sure you're finding the right guy to do the job.
And I guess, too, be weary of right now, the storm isn't here, but people could see people knocking on their doors right now saying, hey, before the storm hits, you need this tree cut, or you should probably get these storm shutters or whatever I have in my back truck here. You guys need this to keep yourself safe. Is that something, maybe a red flag in that case?
It is. It's just being aware. If it's a scam, they're going to play on those emotions. So when a hurricane's coming through and things are in the media, scam artists are going to see this as an opportunity to take advantage of people with their emotions at play. So if you're getting a knock on the door, if people are aggressively asking you to act now, don't act now in the moment. Stop for a minute. Take the time to research that person. If it's a tree trimmer, the tree trimming industry as a whole is not regulated by like a license per se. So really what you want to check on them is, do they have the proper insurances in place, the workers' comp, the liability. So if they do trim the trees on your home, if something happens, is damaged, they get hurt, there's insurance in place to protect you as the homeowner. That's the key with that industry. And vet the tree trimmer. Just because he knocks on your door and says he can do the job doesn't mean he's legitimate. You have to stop for a minute, check him out on the Better Business Bureau website, ask family and friends. It's always good in those industries to be more proactive than reactive. Right now is the time to go on our website, go talk to family and friends, look for tree trimming companies that have a good track record in our database, to find them, seek them out, and hire them, so you're doing that homework and research instead of being reactive to someone knocking on your door.
And for anybody that's joining right now, again, I'm 10 Investigate Jennifer Titus, and this is Brian Oglesby with the Better Business Bureau West Florida. If you guys have any questions of, hiring a contractor, we just talked tree trimming services. If you guys are thinking last minute to put, people are thinking about putting their hurricane shutters up, because you have to hire people to do that in some places, and that you want to be weary of that, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I mean, if you have nothing installed at all and it's crunch time now, obviously we shouldn't be waiting to the last minute on things like this, but if you have to get it done, again, in the moment, be responsive, don't be reactive. I think is the key there. Seek out and find trustworthy businesses. Don't be reactive to someone knocking on your door, offering you a great deal on the spot. Be wary of someone asking for large cash payment up front, and then they're going to go and get the supplies. That's a red flag. If they're asking for cash up front, alternative methods of payment, be wary of that. If they're asking you to pay with like gift cards or things that cannot be traced, again, those could be red flags to a potential scam. And then just do the homework. It's very simple nowadays. Go on the internet, research the name of the company, and add the word complaint or scam or review after their name to get different search results. Go to bbb.org, type the name of the company, see what information we have on this business. So that way you're doing that due diligence and you're not just hiring on the spot.
And another tip that you guys always give that I always think is great, because we've seen situations where people call us and they say, we did our homework, we saw that they had a license, and maybe they didn't have a Better Business Bureau grade yet, but they saw that they had the license and they were registered, but they never asked for recent
insurances,
recent clients,
current clients.
Yeah, current clients that they've done. So they've to take that extra step to say, hey, let me call somebody that you just did business with, see how the job went. Because I think that's a great tip that you guys always mention.
And that's very important now more than ever before. It's not about hiring a licensed contractor that's been established for 20 years and they give you references from 3 or 4 years ago. You have to find out who their current clientele base is and how they're doing work now, and are they doing it the right way. Because companies could have a good track record in the past, but they could take on too much work. They could be having problems right now. And finding out what their current state of business is important, because you want to know how they're going to handle your line of work now, not how they handled line of work a year or two ago. So checking those current references is important.
And again, guys, we are here with the Better Business Bureau West Florida, just basically answering any questions that you guys may have. We know we've heard questions so far this morning, people asking us about hiring contractors. A lot of people worried about getting their trees trimmed, getting their shutters put on, because they might have them, but they don't know how to actually install them themselves. So getting those put on. This is something, when it comes to storms and stuff, this is something the Better Business Bureau is all over. You guys have your own hurricane guide and everything, so people know A to Z what to do.
We do. It's bbb.org/Florida Hurricane. And basically what we wanted to do is gather all the reasons. There's so much information out there, so many resources, and gather it all and put it in one place for consumers and businesses even, and have a one-stop source to get that information that you need. Find out the different electrical companies, the contact numbers, the state agencies, the government agencies, when you need to call them, and how to get a hold of them. Our angle on the Florida Hurricane Guide is not so much on preparing, buying the amount of water bottles and that kind of thing. It's about preparing for the businesses that you have to hire to help you should you have a disaster or damage to your home. So now is the time to seek out and find trustworthy contractors. Again, being responsive and not being reactive. So reach out and connect to good, trustworthy contractors in the community. Establish that relationship with them now. Find 3 or 4 of them. So if you have damage to your home, you have that list of 3 or 4 roofers, 3 or 4 plumbers, 3 or 4 electricians that you've already vetted in the first place. And now you can call them if you need their services and say, hey, I checked you out already. I need your service. Are you available? And have 3 or 4, because if you just have one, he may be too busy and not be available if a disaster happens.
What's another thing that you guys see after the storm hits when it comes to, we mentioned contractors. What else do you guys see?
So when it comes to scam, you have donation scams that happens.
And that's such a big thing too, because unfortunately we see the devastation that's caused, and we see the commercials run and the video that runs, and you just want to help out these people that have literally been left in such tragedy. Like, homes are gone and they might not have much left, so people want to help.
They do. People are in that giving spirit, and when it comes to scammers, they know that, and again, they're playing on that emotion of giving. So be wary of emotional appeals to give on the spot. Be wary of email campaigns, text messaging, things on social media, crowdfunding, this telltale story of someone that lost their home. Yeah. When it comes to crowdfunding, you really should only give to people you know and trust in that world. Because if you're giving to someone you've never heard of before, know nothing about, but their story touches your heart, you can't tell if it's a legitimate story or not. So make sure you're giving to the right places. Be wary of name spoofing. There'll be a lot of scams that will have similar charity names to legitimate charities. Again, now is the time as a donor, a consumer that wants to donate, to seek out and find legitimate charities in the communities, and do your research on them now, and know the ones that you want to give to, know the ones that give to the right causes, and then be prepared to give to them when it's needed. And you should never feel pressure to give on the spot. A good, legitimate charity will accept your donations a month from now just as much as they'll accept them today. So that's a big red flag.
And would you say, how to make those donations? Is there a safer way to make a donation? Cash, check, credit card?
Well, if you're giving online and uncertainty in any world of doing things on the internet, credit card is going to be always your safest method, because you have protections in place. You can dispute the charge. You want to be wary of cash donations on the spot. alternative methods of paying, like if a charity is asking you to go get a gift card at Walgreens and pay, that's a big red flag. Sending some kind of money order to pay, those are going to be red flags because those are not traceable. So be wary of that. But paying with cash and check is okay if you know that you're paying it to a legitimate charity that has your needs. It's okay to pay that way. It's just knowing that you are connecting and paying to the charity that you know you want to pay for. Be wary of an email campaign and you click on it, it sends you to a website. Scammers and fake charities can create websites just as well as legitimate companies, so make sure you go direct to the source. If it's a charity, you're going direct to their website, you're clicking on their donate page and you're donating to them directly. Be careful of going to links off social media sites or through a text message that you may have received saying this is a charity that you may know and trust by the name, but just because you're clicking on a link doesn't mean it is that charity for sure.
And the good and bad about social media is you don't know what your friend may be sharing if they have verified that link that you might see to if that money is actually going to somebody who really needs it, who really wasn't.
And even just because a friend is quote sharing it or sending you a message through Facebook Messenger saying this is a great charity, you should donate to them, you still have to be wary. You still have to the key is here stopping for a minute. Do some homework and research before you take action on that moment, because that friend's Facebook page could have been taken over and a scammer is actually sending you the Facebook message. It's not truly your friend. They could have stolen their page or created a duplicate account, and we hear a lot about that as well in many different types of scams, but in this case it could be with donating scams as well.
And I think too, when talking about storms and if the storm where it hits, because anybody watching, we all have family all throughout, the state of Florida and wherever the hurricane does lie. If there is damage, if you are to evacuate your house, it's so important you guys say document everything before hiring or dealing with insurance and stuff.
Just as if the insurance companies say, take pictures of everything in your home, document what you have, take pictures outside of your home before the storm comes, and then obviously take pictures right after the storm passes. Documentation is key. Take out your insurance documents, read your insurance understand what your contract is with your insurance company. A lot of people get caught by surprise of how much money their deductible is, and they're not aware of that until in the moment they need it. So take that time to read over your insurance documents, understand what potential you may have to pay if there is damage, how to get a hold of your insurance agent, and just being more prepared. Preparedness goes above and beyond just buying the supplies at the store. It's being prepared for recuperating after the disaster strikes, and how to be, again, responsive to the situation and not reactive. Because when we're reactive, our emotions are at play. We make decisions that we normally wouldn't make, and that's the key here. And scammers know that. Bad actors in the community know that, and that's how they take advantage of us as consumers, is on that emotional appeal.
So I think that's the thing everybody's doing right now is prepping for the storm. Like you said, we're seeing it at the stores now, people buying the water and getting the gas, because it doesn't hurt to be prepared. And like you said, the message that the BBB wants to get out, it's the things to do around the house. It's the documenting those, the photos, anything else that you guys, a message to send when it comes to the preparation stages?
Creating that list of contractors, having a list of contractors that you already know and trust in a list in that packet, that emergency packet that you take with you. So if you have to evacuate your home and you go somewhere else and your home is damaged, you have the contact information of those legitimate, trusted contractors that you've already vetted. So now you can call upon those contractors and say, hey, I have damage to my home. I've spoken to my insurance agent. I need you to come out and do these repairs, especially if there's damage where they say you want to get repairs done just to get the house in check first, and maybe not the main repairs. So you have a guy that can come out and do that. And again, you're being responsive to the situation instead of reactive. Oh my gosh, my house is destroyed. What do I do? Oh, I searched on the internet for something to help me out, and this guy came up to the top of the internet, and I'm going to call him on the spot. Just because a company shows up high on internet search results doesn't mean they're legitimate. You still have to do that homework, that research, verify the credentials of that company, whatever industry it may be, and again, finding the trustworthy businesses.
Would you say the same responsibilities are the same for a home renter, for somebody that's renting a home? Yeah,
I would definitely reach out to your landlord, because your landlord in that case would be the one that would hire, connect with your landlord, see what practices they have in place should the hurricane come through the place that you're renting, and ask them how they're handling. Do they have a hurricane preparedness plan in place for you as a tenant, or the management company? What plans do they have in place? Just having those conversations, I think, are key. Knowing about them. Hopefully, if you have a management company, they're communicating with you and letting you know what steps they have in play. But as a homeowner, you may have to hire someone to do repairs to things within your home. You have content inside that home that you're renting that you want to protect, so you may have to hire someone to help board up, and just vetting those people. You asked earlier about putting up hurricane shutters. I don't think you would have to worry about hiring a licensed professional for just not installing, but putting up hurricane shutters. There's not a regulation of licensing over that.
Okay.
But the installation of, like if you're hiring someone to actually install hurricane shutters, there may be some regulations there.
To check it.
But just asking a guy to screw them in that were already installed, if you need help with that, I don't think you have to find a licensed professional to do simple work like that.
And great links too that we're going to add to this conversation. Great websites to find whether or not somebody needs to be licensed in the state of Florida, who needs to. You can go to My Florida Legal. That's the state attorney's website. You can go to the BBB website, which is
BBB.org. Very simply. That will get you everything you need.
And then I believe the state of Florida's is My FL license.
Yep. MyFloridaLicense.com.
MyFloridaLicense.com to verify contractors' licenses.
It is, but that's state licensed contractors. So in Florida, you have state regulated scopes of work like roofing, your AC, electrical, plumbing, renovations that are generally big in nature, like load-bearing walls.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, based on the county that you live in, that your home is in, you have local county contractor licensing laws as well. So the simple things like carpentry, floor, painting, each county is going to be different on that.
Yeah.
So as a consumer, just because the scope of work is not state regulated by the state of Florida, doesn't mean it's regulated locally. So you may have a unlicensed contractor play off your emotions on that. Well, we're not doing that scope of work. We don't need a license. They may need a license. Something as simple as painting your home may require a license. So when in doubt, contact the Better Business Bureau. We can walk you through those steps.
Yeah.
It's hard to cookie cutter that industry because there's so many scopes of works and things. But the general rule of thumb is pretty much everything when it comes to fixing your home does need some kind of license to get the work done. So keep that in mind and ask questions if depending on what you're having done.
And again, guys, we kind of have are just going over everything that you need to know when it comes to preparing for a storm and after a storm. If it was to hit or cause damage to your property, we went over just being prepared before the storm hits, documenting everything around your house for insurance reasons. Make sure that you have done your research when it comes to general contractors in the area. If there was damage, what to do if you want to hire a tree trimmer before the storm hits, if you want to get some trees trimmed. Anything else, Brian, that we should mention?
Yeah, I'm looking down our list, and we have this list and a nice checklist and a guide that's off that bbb.org/Florida hurricane. So we provide you with a checklist.
We'll post a link to that too.
We provide important phone numbers, how to contact. So this is something you want to go now before you lose power. Print it out so you have it with you and handy. We also have the same guide giving to disaster relief charities as well. So we really try to cover the two main talking points after disaster strikes. And I think we've covered a lot of it. Don't make any permanent repairs until you get approval from your insurance company we have on there. Beware of contractors who claim to be insurance claims specialists and may ask you to sign an agreement. This is an assignment of benefits agreement. You want to be careful.
We saw so much of this after Hurricane Irma. So many AOB assignment of benefit issues.
Yes.
It turns into many times fraud, and a lot of people did get in trouble for it.
So assignment of benefits, it's a contract that a lot of water restoration companies or contractors may ask you to sign. Some of the devious one or problematic ones won't even make you aware of it. They're just having you sign a bunch of papers and you're not even aware that you're signing it. So as consumers, that's important. You want to read the contract, understand the terms and conditions, know what you're signing. Be careful about signing an assignment of benefits contract. Because you're giving the rights to them to work directly with the insurance company, and then you lose all control over that process. So just be aware, understand what's going on at play there, and make sure you know what's being signed when you're when you're contracting with that business.
I mean, when we saw Mike, you said Michael, and you're still getting complaints, even Irma.
Yeah, so, and these are from quote unquote legitimate contractors. You know, complaints doesn't mean they're a bad company, but complaints that we're seeing from even legitimate contractors is they started the job, and here we are months and years later, and they haven't finished the work. A lot of it is these contractors are taking on too many jobs up front, what we're finding, and they can't finish all their customers. They're putting it off and putting different customers off. Also, they're limited on supplies. They can't get a hold of, so some of it's not even their fault. They can't get a hold of the suppliers aren't supplying the materials that they need. So some good due diligence on that when you're finding that trustworthy contractor to do the repairs in your home, maybe a new roof or other kind of repairs. Ask questions of that contractor. How many customers are you taking on after this hurricane? Are you a contractor to take on as many customers as you can, or are you limiting the amount of customers that you're taking on? Who are the suppliers that you're working with? Do they have a good amount of supplies at hand? What is your turnaround time of finishing the job? So asking questions you normally wouldn't ask, normally hiring a contractor, you want to ask those additional questions because you want to set yourself up for success. Even though you're hiring a good legitimate contractor that you vetted, after storms come and hurricanes, they can run into problems, and how are they going to address those problems? Because you don't want to be a homeowner that's sitting with unfinished repairs a year later.
Oh my God! And
people are getting
2 years
frustrated.
later now that we're going for
Yeah.
a month. So guys, again, we hope that we answered any question you may have had. We're going to put links to everything that Brian mentioned in the comments section of this Facebook Live, and then you'll be able to share it with your friends and family, just to hope to keep them aware of what to do. Like we said, we kind of covered before and after the storm.
Before and after. And just always know your Better Business Bureau is here to help. There's 5 BBB offices throughout the state of Florida. BBB.org is a simple thing to remember. Give us a call, visit our website. Just do that homework and research first. Be an educated and a wise consumer so you spend that money wisely.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.